Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart was quite simply the most extraordinary musical genius who ever lived, a prodigy so remarkable that he makes other child prodigies look rather ordinary. Born in Salzburg in 1756, this cheeky little Austrian began composing at the tender age of 5 and was performing for European royalty before most children learn to tie their shoelaces properly. His father, Leopold, was a respectable court composer and violin instructor, but Wolfgang didn't just follow in Daddy's footsteps, he completely overshadowed the poor man. Leopold had spent years crafting a modest reputation, writing instructional books and serving the Archbishop of Salzburg, but his son's talent was so blindingly brilliant that Leopold soon found himself transformed from composer to manager. Dragging young Wolfgang across Europe like a musical circus act, the boy was earning more applause. At 8 years old than his father had managed in decades, Mozart's rise to fame was rather like watching a firework display, absolutely dazzling but frustratingly brief. His reputation spread across Europe faster than court gossip. He could improvise fugues, play blindfolded, and compose entire symphonies in his head while chatting about the weather. The aristocracy adored him, though they treated him more like an entertaining pet than a serious artist. He performed for Empress Maria Theresa, charmed King Louis XV, and had the Pope himself bestow honours upon him. His musical gifts were frankly ridiculous in their scope and perfection. Mozart wrote over 600 compositions in just 35 years, including 41 symphonies, 27 piano concertos, 17 masses, and 22 operas. His Piano Sonata No. 11 became the soundtrack to elegance itself, while his Requiem Mass remains hauntingly beautiful centuries later. Don Giovanni revolutionized opera by making it psychologically complex. And the Magic Flute proved that serious music could also be thoroughly entertaining. His Jupiter Symphony was so magnificent that Haydn declared no one would ever write anything to surpass it. But here's where the story takes a rather British turn toward irony and tragedy. Despite creating musical treasures that still fill concert halls today, Mozart died absolutely broke. He had the financial sense of a drunken sailor on shore leave. He loved fine clothes, expensive wine, and gambling, spending money as quickly as he earned it. The Viennese public, fickle as they always are, grew tired of his innovations and preferred simpler, more fashionable composers. Commissions dried up, students disappeared, and Mozart found himself borrowing money from friends while composing masterpieces that would make him posthumously wealthy beyond imagination. The poisoning business is complete nonsense. Though it makes for rather good drama, Mozart wasn't murdered by his rival Salieri, despite what Hollywood would have you believe. The poor Italian composer spent the last years of his life denying these rumors, which is rather like being accused of strangling Mozart's ghost. Wolfgang simply died of illness, probably kidney disease or rheumatic fever. Common enough killers in those days when doctors knew less about medicine than modern plumbers know about pipes. His burial was equally tragic and thoroughly typical of how society treats its geniuses. Mozart was buried in an unmarked pauper's grave in Vienna's St. Mark's Cemetery. No headstone, no ceremony. Just a quick disposal during a snowstorm. His wife, Constanze, didn't even attend the funeral, though whether from grief, illness, or simple 18th century practicality remains unclear. The grave's location was lost within a few years, leaving one of history's greatest composers literally and figuratively forgotten in the ground. The irony is absolutely perfect in its cruelty. Mozart, who could hear entire symphonies in his head and write them down without a single correction, died unknown and unremembered by the very society that had once celebrated his genius. Today we spend millions building opera houses to perform his works, while he lies somewhere beneath Vienna in an unmarked spot, probably wondering what all the fuss is about. It's the sort of cosmic joke that would have amused Mozart tremendously had he lived to see it.